Hello, guys. How we doing tonight? I apologize, but I wasn't feeling the music today. Just didn't feel like waiting. Hopefully, you guys don't mind. I just noticed. Let me up the quality of this stream. I'm doing great, thank you. What's up, Cassius? How are you doing? It's not a nice day. Shitty weather, where I am right now, so of course that puts you down a little bit. I'm happy to get back to the charts. Definitely gonna be a little less there. Still recovering, not fully recovered yet, but I'll definitely be active. And we're gonna have a bunch of PA reviews this week with a lot of high impact news, right? If you guys saw the announcement, it is CPI week, and we have very nice news on the two following days as well. So we're gonna have some nice Tuesday, Thursday, and Wednesday. I didn't say that in order. Trading with some possibilities for Friday as well. Yeah, same thing here, Justin. Crazy rain. But a lot of opportunity is going to be found this week for sure. Now, in regards to the charts themselves, these are the times where I'm most confused, right? It's when, okay, we took out previous week high, formed a retracement. Just to answer your question real quick, I am from Quebec, just in the Montreal region. But what I was saying is we took out previous week high, did not close through it. That's an indication of weakness. So we framed some retracements on the next day. Of course, the next day on Thursday was very divergent. ES reached that level before we did anything, and NASDAQ just had some back and forth, and Friday was a pretty clear bearish day. Okay, cool, but is it done retracing now, right? Can we look for price to continue? Well, we have returned to a discount, but to no discount and efficiency, right? And when we said we don't have a clear discount and efficiency, you can use the larger range, which in this case gives you a large retracement, which we could be due for. Or you can go down the time frame using the same range, right? This is very important. You don't change the range you're using. You're still using the daily range, but you're using 4-hour levels, which have been met. So now we have our first discount and efficiency being met. We no longer need to retrace. So how am I going to interact with these levels? How am I going to frame some trades around that if I don't have a clear grasp on is basically on the phase of price, right? Are we still going to be in a retracement, or are we going to continue higher? Well, CPI will frame everything for me. That's the truth. Can we get back to 16K? Yeah. Hopefully, but 16K is pretty low. I don't think we return all the way down here, but I'd be looking for a large retracement. That is definitely the goal, I guess, to say. But CPI will frame for me. If we get some strong CPI numbers and movement to the upside, I don't think we are ready to go down. I think we keep going up, right? What did I say when we trade at all-time highs? I have one model, and it is the only one I follow. It is bullish until proven otherwise, which means that every move lower is a retracement and every move higher is an expansion. So I see this as a retracement. I see we no longer need to retrace. So now I'm looking for higher. Why? Well, I trade statistics. And statistics tell me that we're going to see a continuation about 70% of the time and a retracement / reversal 30% of the time. So in that regard, I'm just going to keep looking for bullish. And how do I know that? Well, you can go on the Rice Statistics app. There is candle profiles on some pretty high time frames. So I just use these, right? So I'm looking at the weekly. What does this week do? Well, we took out previous week's high and closed inside of it. Statistics tell us that previous week's low, well, which will not be previous week's low, of course, right? But in that regard, previous week low would be our bias for the week, which means I should look for some sort of manipulation lower. We also have a very nice weekly fair value gap here that we could look to dive into. You guys know, though, I'm not a big fan of using 20 different time frames. So the truth is, I'm going to be looking at this. I have clear liquidity in this regard to frame my week. So let's say we open, trade lower into here, with the possibility, of course, of reaching all the way to previous week's low, but I will not look for anything further than this, and then we trade higher. If we close aggressively through this level or this level, I'm going to turn bearish. So for example, CPI comes in and we close aggressively through this level and don't form any form of important swing point, right? So for me to frame this as a manipulation, I need an aggressive move, I need SMT, and I need us to form an important swing point, right? Form a swing point with SMT pretty much. But if we close aggressively through this, I'm going to be looking for previous week low as my next target. And if we close aggressively through previous week low, and when I say this, by the way, I'm talking on a daily perspective, right? So intraday, my trade is going to be towards that level and then I'm done, or I can frame some retracements. But I'm waiting for the daily close to tell me how I'm going to react to this level, just to make it clear. But if we don't, we can still go down all the way down here, even further, tap into this fair value gap down here and still be bullish. Why? Because once again, I'm looking at this range and my first discount and efficiency is right here. Order block overlapping fair value gap. Now you might say we traded lower. That is true. So you can use this level if you want. But the fact that this is a wickless candle here gives me interest towards this level. So I'm going to be more focused in this range, pretty much, right? The range between these two lines. So these are my long-term retracement objectives, but we don't have to go all the way down here. So I'm going to be looking to long any one of these levels unless I'm proven otherwise by a close through either one. So still pretty straightforward, even though I went in great detail about it. But that is what I'll be looking for specifically this week. Do CPI news at 8:30 usually frame the impulsion of a fake move the other way? I mean, that's a great question because most of the time I trade the direction of CPI. And what does that mean? It means I treat it exactly like FOMC. So if CPI goes higher, I'm going to look for a 9:30 retracement and continuation. If CPI goes lower, I'm going to look for the opposite, which would look like this, right? In case you guys didn't know, you can invert your chart using Alt and I. So I'm going to look for first move lower, retracement, continuation. Now, the other thing that can happen is if CPI does not form a fair value gap or forms a small range. Now, I'm going to use average range levels from the economic news analysis from Rice Statistics, right? Data, always. And if it forms too small of a range, I'm going to be looking for a reversal framework where we take one side of the news range to go target the other. And I'm always looking at the 1 minute range, the 15-minute range, and the 1 hour range. What does that mean? 1 minute, which means the 8:30 candles, 15 minutes, which means the range formed from 8:30 to 8:45, and the hourly, so the range formed from 8:30 to 9:30. These are the ones I focus on. I found the most consistency from these frameworks specifically. To be honest, I'm bullish until proven otherwise, but I would really like this level, which is currently marked out as previous week's low since the market has not opened yet. But the low from July 2nd, the current low of the month, I really would like to see this target met because we consolidated here. If we just keep going higher, this is going to form some higher resistance market. A little bit like we did here, right? When we consolidate and we leave this liquidity open, we just do bullshit for a few weeks. That's the easiest way I can put it. So hopefully we see some form of raid. We really don't have to go all the way down here, but at least to last Monday's low is what I would look for. Do we have any questions? I feel like it's a pretty standard, pretty simple outlook. There's not much to discuss. We have a lot of long-term objectives to the downside, but focusing on those will only lead to disappointment. Can we? My pleasure, Cozy. Awesome to see you in here. My way of looking at the markets in a midterm perspective, let's just say next 1 or 2 weeks, is extremely simple. I look at nearby liquidity, I look at premium and discount, and I frame a narrative around that, right? So pretty straightforward stuff in that regard, and of course, all grounded by statistical frameworks. Hopefully, you guys had a great weekend. Now, I'm going to wish you all a great week. Good luck if you're trading tomorrow or Tuesday, but we won't see each other again until Tuesday night. And if there's anything, feel free to tag me in chat. I'm always available for questions and ideas. You guys have a great rest of your night. Bye, guys.